Hey guys, welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So this is another episode of Meatloaf, but this is going to be a Meatloaf light. I'm in the middle of preparations for the open shop event coming up next weekend. That's May 2nd and 3rd, 2015. So we open up to the public and you can come by and visit the shop if you want. I'll put a link up on the screen, artsbenicia.org, and you can get details about where it is and the times and stuff like that. So anyway, I've been reorganizing the shop so I can open it up and have a little more space to work and just make it a little work friendlier. So it looks like a big ox bomb went off in here. But what I'm going to show you guys today is as I was cleaning out some things and opening old boxes and stuff like that, I found some kind of interesting stuff that we'll take a look at that I think you guys will get a kick out of. So I'm going to set up on one of the minimal flat spaces that I have left right now, and then we'll take a look at some of this stuff, and then the guys that are planning on coming out, I'll see you next weekend, okay? Okay, so here's a couple of things out of the first box that I found that you guys might get a kick out of. Anybody that does any sailing or has a nautical background might recognize this. This is it's called a FID, an FID, and it's used for wedging between the loops of a knot that's tight, and or separating the strands of a rope so that you can do splicing. I made this, oh gosh, a long time ago, and it's made out of lignum vitae, which is a real interesting wood. It's this kind of very heavy, oily wood that polishes up real nice. And is kind of a traditional FID material. Anyway, this stuff is kind of dense. It actually won't float in water. It sinks. And I think it comes from Brazil. And it's this kind of this waxy hardwood that they actually use it for bearings and stuff like that. Anyway, I thought you guys might get a kick out of that. That's been rolling around in a drawer for a long, long time. So lignum vitae FID. So the next one I thought you guys might get a kick out of is this little guy here. Now this is something I made a long time ago, and it's kind of like one of those little pill containers, right? But this one is got a different purpose here. Let's open it up. And for the, I don't want to spill the stuff that's in it here. For those of you guys that have CNC lathes that need work, this might be a cool project. But this one is, it's got a little capsule inside that holds earplugs. And at one point, it was instead of putting these in your pocket and they get all grody and dirty, I was thinking about an earplug case. Anyway, thought you guys might get a kick out of that. It's kind of a trippy little earplug case. Anyway, not what you expect, right? So, and then this guy here. This is, now, some of the guys that shoot might recognize some of these charts on here. I used to do a little bit of long-range shooting back in the day, a long time ago, and this was a little, I call it a wind doping card, and I used to carry this in my pocket. And what it is it's got, let me get a little pointer here. So it's got windage values for different ranges, for different wind directions, okay? And this is 200 meters, 300, 600 meters, and 900 meters. So these are windage holdoffs for different values of wind, okay, and in half-minute clicks. So these are windage clicks for different ranges. And then down here, what we have is this helps you dope out which direction the wind is coming from and how fast that wind is. So those of you guys that have looked through scopes, over flat ground or over almost any ground, you see a mirage. The heat waves, even on cold days, you can see this. And by looking at those and the patterns that they produce, you can kind of figure out which direction the wind is coming from and kind of how fast it's going too. It's a way to estimate it. So anyway, just kind of interesting stuff. They have all these ballistic calculators now, so this is total old school stuff. And let's see, what do we got on the back here? This is this windage hold off. Once you, it's in inches though, so at different wind speeds, this would be how many inches you would hold off at different ranges. So just kind of cool. Anyway, I got some more stuff. Let me dig it out, and we'll keep going. Okay, here's a couple of interesting items here, and these are samples that I had saved. We had a customer a long time ago that did consumer products, and they were working on something. It was a hair clog removal thing. Anyway, they asked us to if we could make some clear P-traps that they could see through. The idea was that they wanted to see how clogs formed in the P-trap, and then once again how their product would work against those particular clogs. So we modeled this in SolidWorks a long time ago, and then we actually machined these out of acrylic blocks, and so we did them in halves. And unfortunately, I don't have a. Actually, I do. This is a later version here. So they were done in halves like so, and then they were glued together like so, and then they were used as P-traps, which is kind of cool. So anyway, these are a couple of early prototypes on that. So this is kind of a machining project that we did a long time ago. So that's that. Those are kind of neat. You know, I saved them because I was kind of proud of them, and you know, this was an involved job to get to those. So these guys here, this is kind of an interesting bit. This is this is a little valve for an LVAD artificial heart, and this is a little flapper valve. It's kind of a check valve that sits in that thing, and this is made out of a cobalt alloy here, very, very strong and durable, and this sits in in one of the ports of the left ventricle assist device, and as the heart, or the phony heart, pumps, this opens and closes here. Now this particular valve, it's kind of interesting that it's supposed to leak a little bit. Okay, it can't seal up completely tight, and that little bit of leak rate is really important, and also the longevity of this thing. So it's really important that this thing lasts. So we did build some equipment to do life testing on some of these here, but it's an interesting machining job here too. This is a single piece of this Haynes cobalt alloy, and this is all machined out of one piece. So it's kind of a tricky machining job there, to say the least. And it's done fourth axis job. Okay, this isn't done 5-axis. Through some clever fixturing, you can get this on fourth axis. So yeah, anyway, so that's kind of neat. Let's see, I got some more stuff here too, out of my little goodie box here. Okay, so this next group here, this is some cool stuff here too. Let's do this one first. This is a real thin shell. I got bent a little bit. I don't know, it's about 10 or 15 thousandths thick. It's a nose piece for a laser hair removal tool, and this was machined out of solid here in 2 setups, and I can't remember if I did the front side first or the bottom side first. I don't quite remember which way I went. and then it was cut loose from the holding stock. Anyway, it's basically a sheet metal piece, but you can see the lines where the ball end mill went around there and did that. And I think this one there was something wrong with this one. That's why I have it. And this kind of an interesting fixturing piece and to look at. But that's an example of something you can do with a CNC mill there. These guys here, some of the bicycle guys out there might recognize these. These were made by my friend, the toolmaker Charlie, the guy that made the toolmaker's microscope that I have here. And, you know, he liked to build all kinds of stuff, and he built a bicycle on his own too, as one of his little projects. And but what these are his version. This is the toolmaker version of clip-on pedals. And this is before they had all these really trick, you know, snap-in deals and whatnot. Basically, you had baskets back then as what was around. But these are they're a tapered dovetail, and in the bottom of the shoe was a female receiver, and you would slide in and then you would lock in, and then this gives you this little pronation that you need to keep from wrecking your knees. And then if you want to get out of them, you just pop out sideways and get out. Now, and then they're on bearings, you know, so you can pedal, and you can see their right hand, left hand thread there. What was neat about his, and he showed me the shoes back in the day, was he had modified a pair of regular tennis shoes, and you could walk around in them, and he had embedded the female part of this dovetail up inside the sole of the shoe, so it was basically flush on the bottom, and it was made out of tool steel, so that it didn't get all distorted. It was, you know, this typical toolmaker stuff. So anyway, they're kind of clever, and I've always liked the idea. And you know, obviously they have a different system nowadays, and but I just save them as an example of his work, and you know, and these are early prototypes here where he was messing around with it. I remember him telling me at first he had them locked down, and then he says, "Yeah, my knees are killing me," and I figured out that the thing's got to move a little bit. So here's this guy, you know, driving around on his bicycle, sorting all this stuff out. So kind of a cool thing. So, and then actually, I'm gonna cut and then come back, and we'll do another segment here. Okay. So let's do these first. At first glance, this looks kind of weird here. What this is, let me poke some out here so you guys can kind of see here. This is toothbrush bristle material here, and this is how it's bundled to go in the machines that insert the bristles into the toothbrush. And these are just absolutely amazing machines. There's a company in, I believe it's Switzerland, that pretty much has the market cornered on these machines that insert bristles into the toothbrushes. But so this, oops, I don't want to unravel these or take any out, because then they go to hell pretty quick. But this machine actually grabs a little bundle of these very rapidly. It has a little arm that has a little slot in it, and it grabs a little tuft of these, and then actually pokes them in, and it has a little staple that it sticks down and holds the bristles in. And we were doing a job where we built some equipment to take these bristles from this round form and then orient them in a straight line, basically, for a different project. And so they gave us a bunch of the bristle material, and we made a little device that singulated these basically, and put them in a line, and then fused the end so that you had these kind of linear bristles. That was the job that we did. But so I ended up with some of the little pucks of the bristles, and this is extruded out of an extruder head, and then they bundle them up, and then they wrap them, and then dice them off to go in the machine. So kind of neat. But you don't, you know, that's a little mundane item that you don't think about how toothbrushes are made, and it's pretty trick. And then, like I said, the machines are wonderful. I haven't looked on YouTube to see if there's any bristle insertion videos, because it's pretty cool to watch. Anyway, that's that. This guy here, this is a kind of a clever, I would call it a CNC trick here. So here we have two parts, and these are parts for a goofy skateboard prototype here. So, you know, basically we're profiling all this mess here, okay, and out of a raw blank, okay, and then normally there's going to be a second op here where we flip this over, okay, and we deck off the other side, and in fact you can see here there's several levels that it's going to get machined to, right? So this is going to get trimmed off, and then that's a finished surface, but that's going to go away. So these plop into some soft jaws after the fact. Now, you know, one of the things, fine, you profile all this stuff, and then typically, you know, you go over to the bandsaw and you'd cut that apart, and then you'd put them in the soft jaws. Well, what we've done here is we've used a 90-degree chamfering tool, and we've cut a groove down in there, okay, and you can kind of see that down in there, and I'm going to show you the trick part in a second. And we've kind of plowed this groove in between there. Well, when I flip this over, you see this little line right here? That's actually the point of that 90-degree chamfer mill that's actually poking through. Now I don't want to break this, but the idea is now that you can snap this apart. It's like one of these little plastic things, and you can snap it apart. And now when it comes out of the machine, bank, bank, I just break these apart and drop them in the soft jaws, and I go. I don't have to do a second op and walk over to the bandsaw with a pile of these and cut them, right? It's already done for me, okay? So that's what that trick is. And this is 7075 aluminum here, so it's nice and hard, and it breaks fairly easily, okay? But you can see that it actually just kind of pushed some of that material through, and we've got a good score there now, and we can just snap that apart. Anyway, just a clever little trick, so thought you guys might like that. I just want to give you a kind of a shot. The camera's sitting in the position that I normally film the intros to the videos. You can see that that's kind of in the same place there, but this toolbox is here now, and I've removed this whole big shelf unit and rotated it to open up this center space here. So I'm in the middle of it right now, but I'll show you a little bit more here in a second here. I'll just turn the camera so you can see kind of what I'm doing. And those of you guys that are going to come out next weekend, I'll get to see it firsthand. So, okay, so you can kind of see I've moved some stuff around. The big shelf unit's over here now, and that was what the other side of that was my backdrop before. So that was a big job moving all that. You can see the dual off to the right over here, and so right now just kind of working on places for everything, and trying to open up the center area, you know, this center area here as workspace. So anyway, having fun and finding all kinds of treasure in boxes.